Hello and welcome. You are watching All Things Rift episode 13. There are some big changes to the game this week, especially if you have a level 50 character, with the introduction of patch 1.5. And I'm just going to get right into it now. What you're watching here is what happens when you log in. You actually get several little achievements there. And a couple of question marks that you want to click on and look on. And one thing that it directs you to do right off the bat, I believe, is to check your mailbox. So when you check your mailbox, you're going to have this mail here that says Planar Attunement from Asha Katari. If you're Defiant, I'm sure there's one similar on the Guardian side. Unfortunately, I still don't have a level 50 Guardian. That will be happening soon, so today's episode is going to be slanted Defiant, but there's going to be lots of good information regardless. At any rate, so it says that you want to open the J menu, and there's also an icon down here for J, and that's your Chronicles menu, where you can enter the solo or duo dungeons. You can see that the green scale and hammer are indicating that they're for 2 players, or as the patch notes say, for very high-geared single players. Also, you're going to have these veteran rewards if you're a veteran, up to 6-month veteran rewards. And you're going to find, for veteran rewards, some costume pieces and some caches that contain potions and such. So taking a look at the inventory, if I open up these caches, I'll get some potions and some nice things like that. So I'm just going to grab those real quick here. Now you also have that right there, the ability to summon Jarvis. You just right-click it, and it goes into your powers. So now when I open up the power menu, there it is right there at the top of the general. Now that is a 6-month reward to summon Jarvis, and I'm running over here to where I'm not surrounded by a bunch of people. And there is Jarvis. Now, he hangs out for quite a while, actually. He just kind of roams around, and you'll notice he's a vendor. He sells things. The problem is it's a little bit of a tease because you can't buy anything from him until you've played for 12 months. So right now, there's nothing to buy there from Jarvis. But he has drinks, and he has some other, some kind of cool things. And but you can sell to him right now, which can make it nice if all of a sudden you're in a dungeon and you forgot to empty your inventory. You can sell your crap to Jarvis. Now, really, the first thing you want to do when you log in for the first time is you want to do the Ceremony of Attunement. It's kind of important that you do. Now, this, again, is the Defiant one, but the Guardian one is going to be very similar in terms of what it does. It's going to open up some stuff for you, and it ends with Shadavarian. So on the Defiant side here, I talk to Ron, and then I kind of follow him around. And by the way, my experience bar is now active again, so I can gain experience for quest turn-ins and killing things and such and so on. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit briefly as I run around here with Mr. Chaloon. Now, this is the Planar Attunement screen. It's opened by pressing U. And this is the system by which you continue to advance. Now, one thing that you may have noticed there is that I had 0 planar attunement points to spend at this time, and this is why you want to do this ceremony first. It's instance, by the way. If you haven't noticed, there's nobody else in here. It's just me and NPCs. Another thing that you may have noticed there is that I have 0 out of 500,000 experience points on my bar. Okay, so after listening to a nice long conversation, I step onto this thing here to attend my ceremony, and I wait for Silver Valos to do his stuff. Now, again, you're going to be, if you're Guardian, you're going to be told exactly what to do and where to go and where to stand and such, so that you can become attuned. And again, I want to apologize to exclusive Guardian players. This will be remedied very soon, by the way. I will have a level 50 Guardian soon, hopefully before the next thing happens, next big patch. Now, you can see that it says I leveled up and I was attuned. Now, it's a little bit of a misnomer to say I leveled up. I'm still level 50. But in a moment, there it is. It automatically opens my Planar Attunement window, and you can see now that I actually have 200 points to spend instead of 0, which is pretty nice. Now, the way this works here is you have different attunements. Attunement of air, attunement of earth, attunement of fire, and such and so on. And they have different things here that you can assign points to. So what you're basically doing is picking one. Now, you'll notice the locked ones, you have to open up everything in the first little hex there in order to open up anything in the second. And then you have to open everything in the second in order to open up the third. So there's a lot of attunement you can do. And you can cross-attune. You're not stuck with just one. But at any rate, what you kind of want to do is pick the one that looks like it's going to help you the most, because some of these are going to be better for certain classes. And I'm going to go ahead as a warrior and take the Attunement of Death, because I can actually increase my strength really quickly with the Attunement of Death. The first thing you have to take is the lure in the middle, and it shows the death lure there. Costs 100 points. And what the death lure is going to do is allow me to use a tear to lure out the planar forces through breaking through and start a death rift event. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the Boundless Might, which increases my strength by 1, and you can see that next time I get points, I'm going to be able to get new stuff. Now, the other thing about this is I could choose to save my points, those extra 100, if I wanted to get something like Axe Mastery that costs 150. I wouldn't have to spend it right now, but I'd rather have the strength right now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And just like talents, you have to save and exit to make it save. Now, you're supposed to get 100 extra points every time you level. And when you're noticing 0 of 500,000, that may seem like a long, long time. But it really is not so bad, as will be shown later on in this video. So now I'm moving out of the area here, except that I get stopped. And here comes a great big giant bad guy. And he's going to make fun of all of us. And then we have to go for a fight. And I'm just going to go ahead and do a little bit of a guide for anyone who's Defiance here, because there are some things that are... This is a pretty easy instance. It is a solo instance, but it's not the easiest thing if you don't quite know how to do it, so I'm doing a little bit of a guide here. The first thing that you have to do is you have to clear out this room and everything in it. Now, one thing that I've noticed is that things do change a little bit from time to time. I've now done this with 3 different characters, and I've actually got slight changes to the way the combat goes. But basically, everything in this instance, until you get to the bosses later, are regular mobs. There's nothing new, there's nothing complex, they're just regular mobs. The only thing that's somewhat difficult is they tend to go in groups of 3. Once you get done with this, even if there's people still fighting at the front end of the room in the hallway, generally speaking, you just want to kind of run through once you're done with this room and go on to the next phase. Make sure to get everything on the balconies as well as on the base floor here. Okay, so I've left that area, and now I'm out in the main courtyard here in Meridian. Now, one thing that you want to be aware of is that you will get jumped. There's these great big giant guys out in the middle in the courtyard area. You will get jumped by other things. So, like with my rogue, I had to be very careful to try to make sure to kill things in a fashion that wouldn't get me killed if I got jumped. So with my warrior here, I'm being a little less cautious. I'm just going for the enforcer right off the bat, and see there I got jumped. But with my rogue, I kind of had to go around and make sure to kill these little guys first. But at any rate, again, these are normal mobs, and now you just want to clear everything out of the courtyard before heading to the blue dot there in the center. You can see it up on my mini-map. Before you go to the center, you want to make sure to kill everything else around. So here I am at the center, and this is one of the other things. There are a couple things already that have changed, but this changed here. Normally what you have is several really wimpy guys that kind of attack you one at a time, and you just have to kill them all. It's no big deal. But here, for whatever reason, there was just one. Now, one of the things that I'm not showing you is that while making this video, I was disconnected like half a dozen times at least. For whatever reason, today there's been a lot of connection issues. The nice thing is if you just reconnect right away, you'll actually get right back into the instance, and I didn't have any untimely deaths or anything due to disconnection. It seems like everything just kind of pauses and waits for you to come back in. I don't know how long that'll last, but at least if there's server issues like there has definitely been today, you'll be able to get right back in. Just as a note, Wednesday and Thursday, I didn't have any issues doing these instances, but my warrior today, Friday, the 30th, has had some issues. Okay, so you fight the remainder of these guys, and then when they're done, Now you have to fight this boss. This is really basic. It's no big deal at all. He is difficult. He is a boss, but everybody else is fighting him too, and you're going to get some healing. So it's kind of one of those automatic win fights that you really don't have to worry much about. Once you're done with him, though, things get a little more dicey. He summons Shadavarian here, and this is a real genuine boss that you have to solo, and he's about to wipe out all those guys. There they go. So you're not going to get any healing or anything, and that can be really tricky without self-heals. So the trick with Shadavarian, that's his main weapon right there. If you stand in it, it doesn't do a lot of damage, but it will do damage, so you can't really stand still and hit him. Another thing you want to do is you see on the ground, it shows, if you've never fought a boss, you won't know this, so this is good for Guardians too. It actually shows you where his strikes are about to hit. You want to stay out of the strike zone. All right, so like for me here, I have no self-heals, and you'll notice I got rid of my pet because I don't need him, and he would kind of get in the way of things. So basically, I just stay out of this strike zone here, and I keep running in a circle because that thing that he shoots, that little beam that he shoots, will follow me wherever I go. It just keeps following me. So what I do is I just run into a circle, I shoot him with any ranged instant attacks that I have. And then what he's going to do is he's going to go down for like a recharge, where it says right there, lets his guard down and gathers his strength. Now you'll see under his name like a green skull, and that shows how many seconds he's down for. And that's when you can run in and hit him with everything you've got. Now right here, I wait too long, and he hits me with that shot there. You'll notice I took some damage. If you don't wait too long, if you get right out of the way the moment he comes back up, you're going to go through this whole fight without ever taking any damage at all. So you can get all the way through it without taking any damage, but make sure to stay out of the way of his short-ranged attacks, because the long-range one is not too bad as long as you don't stand in it. The short-range ones can be extraordinarily nasty. So here I am. I've been doing that strategy for quite some time now, and I'm just about to take him down. So here goes Shadavarian. He's down. I earn an achievement, City Savior. And now that shadow passes by. You know, I've never looked up on time to see if I can actually see anything, but the shadow passes, and now there's another conversation. So I'm going to run up here for a second celebration of me because I am so awesome. And I'm going to have this little conversation with Asha here. Now, here's something to keep in mind, and this is going to be the case for both Guardians and Defiance. First off, you get a treasure chest. You need to open it. And I'm going to take that, and in the treasure chest, if I can find it here, and there it is, you get a plaque of achievement used for buying rare and epic goods. You're also going to get something that should be class-specific here, and as you can see, it's a plate belt for me, and it's a little bit better than the one I'm wearing, but not really a whole lot, just a little bit. Now, one thing you're going to want to do is get the quests. There are going to be 4 of them, and in Meridian you can see there's that one, and there's these 3. Now, these are basically just turn-in quests, and they're actually just to tell you about basic things in the game, like crafting and things like that. I get the impression that Tryon realizes that people are getting to level 50 and not really knowing what to do, and they haven't experienced all of the other facets of the game, and so Tryon's kind of encouraging people through these quests to experience more than maybe they had on their journey to level 50. The other thing is you have this up here, this little bag for completing stuff, and as you can see, I'm getting a really nice sword here, and it's actually a little bit better than my Assassin's Steel Cutlass. You would think it'd be a lot better since it's blue, but it's at least, I mean, the damage is amazing, and the stats are a little bit better, so you'll definitely be able to use that weapon unless you're already highly geared. And then once you're done, you just turn around and you run right out of Meridian here, and you'll be right back into normal life. And that's how it works. Now, also, for solo and duo instances, we have Green Scales Blight, the Fallen Prince, and Hammernell Runes of Corruption. Now, I actually have done both of these. These are supposed to be duo or solo with very well-geared players, or I found that you can do them with my Invincible Mage spec, which I did, and I will say this. Hammernell was fairly easy with my Invincible Mage spec. I do not have any other characters that I think could do it, except for possibly my Cleric, but it'd be a long shot. Greenscale's Blight was much more difficult, and I would not be able to do it with any other character outside of my Invincible Mage, and I have a Warrior, Rogue, and a Cleric. So in terms of all the specs I've worked with, the only one I can legitimately solo them with is my Mage. Now, that said, there is a lot of experience to be had in here. And I would guess that a healer along with a really high DPS, or especially like a healer that can also do damage, like a Chloromancer, with a very high DPS character, could probably burn through these in about 15 to 20 minutes each. They're very short, and they would be fairly easy with the right duo. And there's an awful lot of XP to be had, so they really are great, and you can do them over and over and over again, just like any other instance. So they're fun, and they're great. Now, to me, the most fun you can have in an instance is in a group, doing a raid group. That's what I like, and personally, I think that's the best. Is this something that would I want to go do Hammer Nail every single day? Well, not really, not unless I really wanted to get geared. But it's a good way to get geared, and it's a good way to get experience, so you can, continue to advance yourself. These are definitely good options. And they definitely are duoable, especially with a healing class in your duo. Other things of note in patch 1.5, we have Master Mode Dungeons. Those are for the raid groups that are getting bored with the content. Evidently, they're much more difficult. We have a new Weekend War front. And there's a new guild wall, which is basically a forum for your guild within the game, where you can post things and do whatever you want. So that's a pretty cool feature that I hadn't seen before, and that makes me happy. Also, we're beginning to gear up for the Ashes of History World event, so there are a few things going on in-game that are kind of preparing for that in terms of the story. And add-ons are being announced again, and I'm not quite sure why they keep announcing that add-ons are going into alphas and betas and things like that. I still have no idea when the add-ons will be added into the game, but that is coming, and I guess they just want us to know that they haven't given up on it yet. For those of us who aren't actually trying to program them and know exactly what's going on, which I am not one of those. At any rate, so that's it. That's Rift 1.5 in a nutshell. Now, as you can see here, there are lots and lots and lots of things in this patch. Most of them are kind of small details, a few class changes, just lots of stuff. So I recommend that you go to the forum and check it out at riftgame.com. But beyond that, I covered the major things, and everything else you can kind of read through and find out what might be interesting to you. And that's it also for episode 13 of All Things Rift. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.
Lestrud, I invoke you. Save me. Save my son.
My dearest Molinar, you're considering the arrangement I proposed? This is wonderful to hear.
Yes, I am prepared to give you all you ask for. Only save us.
You and I will be joined. I will take your body for my own. Then I will raise your son, and we will take this world.
This body is old, but surprisingly powerful. Delightful. Now, to honor my contract and recruit the prince to fight for me.
We will not allow this union.